Hey everyone! In today's video we are going to be doing a photo shoot with every single prime lens that I own so you guys can see the differences between focal lengths when it comes to portrait photography. So we're going to be using the 24, the 35, the 50, the 85 and the 135. We're going to do a bunch of different tests, shoot some full body photos, some close-up photos, some mid-length portraits so you can see the differences between each of these lenses if you're stuck on what to get next, or maybe you're stuck on which first prime lens you should add to your kit. So we have so many photos to get through, so we're going to get started. So the first test that we're going to do is with myself and Madeline, the model, standing in the same position so you can get a clear indication of all the differences of the focal lengths. And we are going to start with the widest and work our way up from there. So the first lens I'm using is the Sigma 24 1.4. And now we're going to move on to the Canon 35mm 1.4 Mark II. The camera will be my marker. So now I'm using the Canon 50mm 1.2. Now I'm shooting with the Canon 85mm 1.2. The last lens that I'm using is the Canon 135mm f2. So now for the next test, I'm going to get the model Madeline and myself to move around to work to the strengths of each of these lenses. So again, we're going to start from the bottom, the 24, and work our way up to the 135, this time with full body shots with Madeline filling up the frame. So we'll start with, I have to be like really close to get a full body shot with this one. Perfect. For full body portraits, I find that the 24 and 35 have too much distortion. Next lens. The 50 is a nice in-between focal length if you don't want that distortion, but you also don't want your photo to look too perfect. Oh wow! I'll slowly start getting like further and further away as well. Now on the 85, I'm starting to get a lot further away to be able to get a full body shot. And then the last lens that we're going to use is the 135, and this one I need to be standing in a different suburb to be able to shoot a full body photo, but we're going to see how the photos turn out. The 85 and 135 are by far my favorites for full-length shots. Both lenses have great compression, amazing background to foreground separation, and there is no distortion. Now we're going to try some mid-length landscape photos, which is a very popular composition for me. It's one of my favorites. With these shots, I find that personal style and taste comes a lot into play with which lens is better. For me, the 24 has a really cool editorial, high fashion kind of look. With mid-length portraits, the distortion of the 24 can work to your advantage to create some interesting shots. If the 24 has too much distortion for your liking, the 35 has a similar editorial look, but it's more flattering for your subject. The swirl effect in the background is in full swing with the 50 mid-length portraits, which I find can be a bit distracting in your photos depending on what you're going for. The 85 is becoming a pattern for beautiful portraits. The background separation helps your subject pop in the photo. The bokeh is stunning and the compression looks really true to life. Finally, the 135 has the most extreme background separation, which is perfect if you're going for a dreamy look with your photos. I love the compression of these mid-length shots with this lens as well. The last thing we're going to try are as close-up photos as possible in portrait mode. So I'm gonna get really close for this one. Adding in the close-up shots to round up all of our tests, you can really start to see how the 24 is not a super versatile lens. While the mid-length shots can have an interesting look to them, close-ups and full-length shots are quite unflattering, as this lens or this focal length really distorts faces. The 35 has quite a lot of distortion with close-up portraits as well, but for me personally, it's just enough that you can get away with it, especially if you frame your subject closer to the center of the frame with some negative space at the top. The 50mm again is another great in-between lens. You have a small amount of distortion in your portraits, but rather than feeling like a perfect headshot lens, it has a more relaxed look. The 85, surprise surprise, is a beautiful lens for extreme close-up portraits. The lack of distortion as well as the background to foreground separation can render some amazing photos. My favorite for close-ups, it's so pretty.
Oh yeah, that one is a good one, close-up.
And finally, the 135. This lens has a similar look to the 85, but allows you to shoot even closer to your subject and really pulls out the background almost completely. It's perfect if you're shooting in a busy or less than ideal location. So those are all the tests that we're going to do today with all my prime lenses. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching today's video and seeing the difference between all these focal lengths. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments which ones were your favorite or which ones are your favorite prime lenses and for what reason. As you guys know, the 35 is my favorite prime lens for portrait photography. But I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I make new videos every single Wednesday, so I will see you guys all next time. Bye!